Welcome to On the Edge with Deneen Dias. Today, my guest is Botkeeper's founder and CEO, Enrico Palmerino. Never say that properly, Enrico. Can you introduce
Thank you so much, Dane. I'm excited to be here, as always.
Well, you've been busy. We've been busy here at Botkeeper, and we had our first ever conference entitled AI Unchained last month in Boston, where you made a lot of exciting announcements that I would love for you to share today.
More than happy to. Yeah, it was jam-packed. I feel like it was not comparing myself at all to Steve Jobs, but a lot of people said, if you watched Apple announcement, it was, and there's more, and there's more. We announced a Giraffe integration into Botkeeper, and that was kind of Martin and I had this vision go back even like 5+ years ago when we first met, and we were saying how it would be amazing if you could automate a bunch of the call it bookkeeping through close process, and then if you could hit Giraffe, and if Giraffe could eventually figure out how to automate forecasting, you could go from basically a month-end close straight into the forecast for the next month in a fluid, like hyper-efficient manner. And so we announced that call it 5 year ago thought or idea had become a reality. And with the new Giraffe integration, you're going to go from a rapid close with Botkeeper, and I'll tell you more as to why it's more rapid than ever before, but right into all that data syncs right into Giraffe, embedded into the Botkeeper platform. Giraffe will, using AI, autonomously generate a forecast for the next month for you, and produce a bunch of financials.
Well, and where I get excited about that is a lot of the firms are trying to move into, what people are calling that 2.0 space. But Giraffe is really powerful. So this is a nice way of like just kind of moving into offering more to the clients. And I want to mention, because I think this is super important, everything Botkeeper does is for firms. We are enabling firms to be able to offer more services to the clients with their client data, which is very unique to other technology. We are only really firm facing.
Yeah, and it's the way I put it is going straight into advisory is really tough for a lot of accountants, because if you aren't used to building forecasts or building out budgets or like combing through the financials to identify insights or determine what the KPIs are, like that's a pretty daunting task for someone to go from doing traditional CAS, bookkeeping, closing the books and generating the financial statements, into this next level work. And the nice thing about this integration with Giraffe is we can now do what I'm calling assisted advisory. So generating an autonomous forecast for at least the next month, like while it might not be taking into consideration, things that could happen or hit in the months after, you can get a pretty good predictor indication of what's going on in the next month, kind of get some insight into what could happen thereafter. But it's an easy way for an accountant to deliver a lot more value to the clients beyond just closing the books and generating the financial reports. Now you can generate here's how I think this next month is going to play out for you in a rapid time. And if you think about like old time frames, it was 15th, 20th of the month, you were closing the books, generating financials, and then finally starting to like look at them for using effectively 2 months ago to predict the next month's books. Now you can basically close in 5 days, predict the remaining 25 days, and that's just going to change the speed at which businesses make decisions. And very powerful. That's a lot of value that an advisor can have to their client.
Yeah.
So that was the first big announcement, and then there's more. And so the next one was with Google. So a lot of people may or may not know that Google was a big investor in Botkeeper, and we've chosen to work with Google just because that investment came with a partnership. So we've joint ventured some product at Botkeeper. We've had engineers from Google come and work in and at Botkeeper building various features. And one of the ones that we've been working on and been quiet about for some time was this insights offering. And so where a lot of companies are using ChatGPT, there's a lot of like security risks to ChatGPT. And so a lot of firms have actually said like, lock it down. We're not letting ChatGPT be used at the firm. You had, Samsung ban ChatGPT because they had major security and data leaks as a result of it. And so we had been, perusing, call it the market, and trying to figure out what the best generative AI approach was going to be for us. And Google has this like hyper secure offering called Vertex that isn't publicly available yet. So being a Google company, we got to have early access and insight and build this solution with them that goes from generating financial reports to then in normalized language telling you what those financial reports mean for your client. And the key thing is we don't send that to your client. So a lot of other products out there are trying to do insights or advisory straight to the client. We think that's super flawed because AI is great, but it's not always right. It's supposed to assist people who are smart and make getting to an answer faster, but not to like totally unilaterally rely on that answer. And so what Insights does is it lets us, serve up, the example I like to give all the time is, hey, did you know inventory values are, increasing at a rate that does not, track with revenue and sales and growth, nor does it track with the performance and sales that you had seasonally adjusted for this time last year. Recommendation that you lower inventory, levels. And here's 3 ways to do that. All of this is being generated by the generative AI, served to the accountant, so the accountant can read through this and say like, that recommendation is not applicable to this business because it doesn't apply to the industry or to the way that this company works. So let me either delete it, edit it, tweak it, read through everything else. Maybe there's some things I don't want to tell the client and send it. And the don't tell clients is the generative AI might tell you that, hey, like you should get a loan. Well, maybe you know your client better than they know themselves, and they should probably never take debt because they're not going to spend it wisely or they're going to use it in the wrong facets of the business. So once again, why we think generating these insights to the advisor, doing assisted advisory, and allowing the advisor to then pass forward to their client, whatever they deem is worthy.
This one, Enrico, it excites me the most because I feel like we're taking our services to the next level for firms, really empowering them and in a way educating them because and again, you said it, right? I think a lot of the bookkeepers really struggle with looking at the data and make meaning of the data and really understanding how to talk to the client about the data. And so this is it's really empowering them to see this information in a new way and more comfortable for them because they know the client, right? To pick up the phone and have special conversations with them that they aren't having right now.
Yeah, and I think the big thing is, while you could do this humanly, it would take a lot of time. Like you'd really have to, after you close the books, comb through the client's books, do industry research, like pull out and extract, glean an analysis, and then from the analysis, determine some insights that you want to serve. And thanks to like the billions of transactions that we process, the AI is able to like do a lot of that heavy lifting for you out of the gate, something that would either have been very time consuming, very costly for you to do otherwise, which just means the value prop, of your service and your price point now becomes substantially more value than what you're charging. And that also poses the ability for a firm to raise rates and a client to get, pretty quick insights and value out of the gate. Couple that with an automated forecast for the next 30 days, and you got a very powerful set of functionality and information there.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah. So the other major announcement, this has been, this is for me the most exciting because while all that's super cool, I saw those as like components of Botkeeper, and what I wanted to get Botkeeper to was a autonomous version of Botkeeper, and that was kind of the dream. That's why our company is called Botkeeper. It's supposed to be this like robot bookkeeper that's assisting you in your firm. And so we announced the launch of Infinite, which is that, call it 8-year vision realized autonomous version, pure tech, no human in the loop, Botkeeper offering that is at a ultra affordable rate, so I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with the cost, but the value it delivers is next level. So you've got workflow embedded, you have password management and controls included, you have bank feed and statement fetching, you have autonomous categorization and classification. And right now, even between our middle and our high tier of, call it confidence of the AI, there's only 2% of all the transactions that we process that ever get changed. So if you think about error rates of people, like, and that's middle and high. If you
Wow.
don't want to
Right.
include middle and you want to just go just purely high tier and have, everything in the middle be reviewed by someone on your staff, you're talking a level of accuracy that is not humanly possible. But there's more to it. So we, in conjunction with Infinite, not only do we have that functionality, not only do we have dashboards, now Giraffe is included in the advanced package, which is Infinite plus our advanced service offering. You have the insights component included in Infinite. You have, and then you have 5 other major feature releases that we launched in conjunction, which included a rapid onboarding. So you can now onboard clients into Botkeeper's Infinite offering in 2 to 5 minutes. And in that 2 to 5 minutes, tune the AI. So you can tell it, here's materiality, like I need to review anything that, is this threshold or dollar amount. I want stuff to be put into these buckets, when it meets certain criteria. So you can kind of set up rules. You can tell the AI, what confidence thresholds to automatically book versus review. I do a bunch of little fine tuning, but all that can be done super fast, easy in that 2 to 5 minutes. We have activity feed, which basically takes, while there'll be like tasks, comments on tasks, there might be like communication notes, there might be like messages to the client on a transaction, gives you one centralized place to see all the communication that's happening across that client and across your firm in terms of, who's communicating what and what's getting out there, just to keep track of everything. So just a normalized, easy insight way to managing communications. We've announced our Zapier integration. So now you can integrate Botkeeper into your workflows pretty much however you want them and create a lot more autonomous workflows. So you can go from a client engages or becomes a lead in the CRM system to taking some of that data and pre-populating into Botkeeper's platform, to signing a client, and that triggers an email notification that kicks off an onboarding workflow that sends certain communications to your clients, that grabs an attached contract in that email, automatically takes it out, puts it into Botkeeper's folder with that client. So a lot of enhanced workflow that's going to allow people to use Botkeeper how they want to use it, or ingratiate it into their workflows, as well as build new, more automated and streamlined workflows on top of it. We also announced autonomous journal entries. So that was always like a pain point in my side was, you'd have a client and then have like loans or debt or like other schedules. You'd maintain those on an Excel file. You'd have to build it all out, and then you have to reference it every single month and make the appropriate entries. Hopefully you didn't miskey something. Hopefully you didn't duplicate entry something. And now you could just enter the key variables into Botkeeper. We'll automatically build out the schedule for you, and we'll auto sync it into the client's GL while simultaneously giving you some additional insights and information on those schedules. So here's a blended interest rate across all debt. Here's how many payments are left on each line or loan. Here's if you were to like advise your client on something, it could be, let's pay this one down first and then pay that, and that's how it's going to impact cash flow. So just once again, surfacing more info in a consolidated way to the advisor, to the accountant, so that they can have better relationships and engage with their client in a more holistic way without having to do the heavy lifting and the dirty work.
Yeah. Right.
We also announced autonomous month-end review. So at the end of the month, instead of combing through thousands of transactions, trying to find the mistakes or things that need to be tweaked or something that was missed, the AI looks at everything that was done for the month, identifies the things that thinks it has the highest probability of being wrong, the potential duplicate entries, maybe rent was duplicated, so the value seems too high for normal, just surfacing all those things up to you. and you can check the box that you've reviewed them and addressed and treated them. And then now you have an audit log too that someone did this.
Mhm.
Uh, so if the client spots the error still, you know someone was just checking boxes and not actually, doing the thing that was advised or recommended. And so you can spot where those, call it human capital challenges might be within your firm. Also maintain, I'd say, a higher level of delivery and service to your client. And then last but not least, automated bank reconciliation. So while QuickBooks does a decent job with matching, there's still a lot of like, you have to like click in and like comb through things and like figure out, was this a split payment or did it come in twice? Why are things not reconciled? Layering on AI to that, we can take it a next level and streamline a whole lot of that process, and actually both not just surface where there's gaps, but go and try to do some level of triage for you and bring that to you right in an easy consolidated place for you to do the last mile completion and have that reconciliation be done, or simply just check off that it was completed.
So that's a lot.
A lot.
And I think, as I'm listening to you, it is the power of AI, right? It's the power of automating all of the things that are mundane, time consuming, and I don't want to say dragging firms down, because I think there are people at firms that love to do this work. And so it will be hard for them to make the shift to it being automated, because that's what they love doing. However, there's a lot of people that don't love to do this work. And there's also, as we said, there's a shortage of talent.
Yeah,
And
I was gonna
so,
say it may be hard, but the harder thing is not going to be, do we take something off of someone's plate that they like doing? It's going to be, can you find and hire the talent to do everything you need to do to maintain revenues, to grow profitability, to keep up with the wage increases, which are going to continue to happen pretty substantially in the industry. You can't, like, that's the hard part. This is going to be a must, because it's the only way you even get close to tackling those other challenges. I'm not sure. Did you see the recent Wall Street Journal article that came out a few days ago?
no,
So enrollment this past year was down another 6 or 7%, and like you're talking tens of thousands of like, fewer accountants entering the industry, and in a world where I remind people that the average age of an accountant is 55. Like that, as an average, that should say a lot, because you can get out of school and be an accountant at a very young age. And if all those new entrant accountants are still not bringing that average down, you have a major issue on your hands.
I mean, it's been an issue for years. It's not getting better. It's to your point. I mean, that brings on a whole other discussion. We'll have to do another on the edge on that, because I think, accountants aren't making enough money.
Right.
It's not interesting work. It tends to be very boring, redundant work, and that's why people aren't coming to the profession. And I do think the younger people really like tech. And so this excites them when they want to come and use the technology to service the client in new, exciting ways, like advising the client on the business. So it enables, I think, the profession to be more exciting to the younger generations that are coming out of college. I mean, you please share with me, because I think it's a bigger question about AI is changing the way the work is being done. It's here, it's happening. We've been saying it's coming. It's here, it's happening. We're a big part of that. But again, we're enabling firms. It's not a competitor to what firms have done. It's enabling firms. But what do you see in the future for the profession? I think because of AI is like the big question.
So I don't think the accounting industry is going to adopt AI fast enough, or implement it fast enough to solve this problem before it gets way worse. Like, starting salary for an accountant out of college is probably, mark my words, will be 100 grand.
I heard 75,000. So you're being generous.
Yeah, it's gonna be, it's like it's gonna be a 6-figure job straight out of school,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
gonna be the only way you can. It's gonna, for two reasons. One, it's gonna be the only way you can attract the existing talent that's already graduated and out in the market, and just differentiate yourself in a world where you're not going to be able to hire accountants. It's also going to be the only way that if we do want to bring more accounting jobs back in the US, if we want it to be an attractive career, the wages need to rise and catch up with how inflation has changed. And the accounting industry has not done that. And it's a norm because I don't think a lot of businesses value bookkeeping because they see it as this like compliance factor. A lot of businesses don't value taxes either until you find a great tax accountant that shows you how you can save a lot of money on if you do it the right way. With AI now adding the incremental insights, the assisted advisory, it's the perfect opportunity to think of it as like, yes, it's helping to curtail some of this supply demand gap in human capital while also providing cause for the both the prices to the clients to increase, but allowing you through that to increase the wages to drive the right capital behavior in the market.
Well,
So,
and it's allowing to bring more value to the client and have totally changed the conversation in a ways that clients are hungry for that kind of help, hungry for this type of conversation with somebody. And why shouldn't it be the accountant, right? Yeah.
there's a difference between impact and compliance. Like compliance does not change the economics of a business or the decision making of a business for the most part. The like impact things that you can do for a business are to surface up what does this mean and how is this going to impact your bottom line at the end of the year? How is this going to impact your bottom line short term? How is this going to impact gross margin? How is this going to impact dead stock that you have on hand? All of these things. And then what does your picture look like, going in next month, next quarter, for the rest of the year? Those are the kind of things that if you give that information to a business that they can react on, but just giving them a P&L, balance sheet, cash flow is really just showing them what my state of my business is today, not necessarily guiding them as to what they can do differently to alter or change that, for the better.
Well, so like I said, that's a lot. There's a lot, and this is all launching Q1 of next year, correct?
Yes.
So,
And actually, some of it's rolling out. Like we've done some incremental releases, even last quarter. A bunch of those incremental features I mentioned that are included in Infinite will be coming out this quarter. So it's all like in the right now or the very, very future.
To our current firms, they're getting a lot of this functionality right now. We also have current firms betaing out Infinite, but it's launching, full blown to the market in Q1 of next year. So before we go, since you're talking about all the stuff we've been working really hard at bringing to the profession, like you've had your head down, I know, and there's times I've seen Enrico in the last couple of months, I'm like, oh my God, he's tired. I could tell that you're working like crazy to bring this,
And sleeping.
Yeah, are you eating? Are you sleeping? You don't look like you. You look good today though, so that's good. But what's next? Can you give us a peek into where your head is at? And then there are no promises because you're always thinking about new things. You're that visionary. But what are you thinking is next towards the end of 2024 maybe?
So a lot of the stuff that's going to be coming next is going to be how do we use that data and deliver, call it even more insights. How do we spot inefficiencies in a business? How do we spot that, listen, like you're using this vendor and of this vendor compared to all the other vendors that we've seen out there for your business and the size and call it volume, you're paying like 20% more than other companies. So while we can't say that there's a real good reason you're doing that, you should at least take a look at these other couple vendors or look at that as a cost segment for optimization. And this is where like it's all those things that tee up the conversation with the advisor and the accountant to say, yeah, you are running beyond. And so benchmarking is, this is basically me alluding to us getting into benchmarking both with an exact like business. So kind of look at it as like in an ideal world, you have benchmarking, which is like, here's a bunch of companies that are kind of like you. And then here's one that's just like you.
Like you. Yeah.
So, and that would be normally really hard to pull off without sifting and combing through a lot of data and having a lot of talent in a world that talent doesn't exist. So on the benchmarking side of the equation, doing like hyper-focused models for industries, which is going to change, from how you think about KPIs and just the language that's used and the communication. Restaurants, I like to use as an example. If we could get 445 calendars out there, or look at the COGS structure and profitability in a way that is hyper focused on their business industry and the language that they're used to, that's going to be really valuable.
For
We've
years,
got,
firms have been asking, like, Deneen, do you know a benchmarking tool? 'Cause it's for years, firms, I mean, years, firms have been asking for that, and there's not a lot for firms, right? So that's cool.
and then just I'd say, ideally we'll have an integration with another general ledger. That's on there. That's tough to do. It takes a
Don't
lot of.
say that out loud. We've been talking about that.
Another
We
one I
haven't
didn't say
got
on.
to
So uh, that would be really nice to pull off next year.
Yeah, that'd be
Um,
great.
yeah, and just like the more we can streamline and make like the whole UI and the experience and continue to make things more integrated in the workflow and stuff come together, I think that's going to be key.
Cool. Well, so thank you for sharing all of the exciting news and things that we've been working on and we're bringing to the profession. I did want to mention that there's a wait list. So if anybody got super excited about Infinite, there's a wait list. Reach out to me, Deneen at Botkeeper.com, and I can get you on the wait list. And then Enrico, if anybody wanted to reach out to you, how can they contact you?
Email is probably best. So it's Enrico at Botkeeper.com.
Great. Thanks, Enrico.
Don't mention it. Thank you.